Talk to me about the provenance of the data as well, because if it's on-chain, then also you can sometimes identify where that quote-unquote intelligence comes from. Whereas, as we know with Google Gemini, you ask for pictures of the founding fathers of America and they come back as African American because they've gone through some woke algorithm 100%. And you can never trace that back to where that data came from. Is that another important part about having on-chain data?
Yes, and that's kind of like a lot of the different areas that has been kind of like explored in terms of IP on-chain, or the transparency of what on-chain really means is incredible, right? And just because it's on-chain and maybe it's a public, a public chain, doesn't necessarily mean that everybody can see the information, right? Okay. There's incredible technology on the blockchain which is called ZK that doesn't allow other people to necessarily see the information, even though they are transacting with you or kind of engaging with you. And so being able to understand that that kind of technology in the long term will allow on-chain information to be, hidden, or, like opt-in processes where you can actually allow other people to see it, is incredibly important when it comes to transparency and the monetary flow of how the information and how the verification goes, right? Like you mentioned about like verifying how the AI and how the information kind of like responds to you. That will be all possible on-chain.
Talk to me about the proof being in the pudding, because you are seeing some really significant user numbers. You're seeing some massive growth.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious because AI and blockchain, when I mention that to people, some people mention this company or that company or this phenomenon, but it's hard to know who's actually creating value and who's creating a sustainable business model that's going to change the game.
Very true.
And if you ask 10 people in a room, I would say they rarely come up with a company name that is all of those things. So how do you compete in a space that's super noisy? I was at Satoshi Roundtable in January, and whereas the previous year, Han, the theme was building on Bitcoin, which unfortunately didn't really go anywhere. This year was all AI, agents are gonna change the world, the agent's gonna trade for you. And I went to a bunch of these individual discussions, and a lot of people said behind the scenes, they're like, these agents aren't actually doing it, they're not that smart, it's not necessarily what you think it is. So
that is very true.
That's your world. So tell us what it's like to be in this noisy world versus what you're building.
For sure. I have to be completely frank with you, because we came out of the Web 2 space. In Web 2, when you're building a company, you could be eating ramen and bootstrapping for years and nobody looks at you. In Web 3, everything is so hyped, right? Everything is so noisy. So, and the volatility is crazy, so people are very emotional, less rational. Okay. Now, coming into Web3, the biggest challenge is like cut through the noise, ignore the noise, and being able to focus on what's real. And so one of the biggest problems is like, we don't know if a company is AI because it's a hype, it's a marketing engine, it's a good narrative, right? It's what you can tell, or if it's an executional piece. And for me, to be completely frank, I think decentralized AI, Web3 AI, blockchain, or AI on blockchain is still early. But the thing is, like, what's good about area markets is that 2-3 years from now, we will be there, and we have to start building now.
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met his CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
Why we need to start building now is because if we don't start now, then the centralized AI will get stronger. And 3 to 5 years from now, they will be dominating the entire world. That's not what you want. You want to be early, you want to be overlooked for long enough so that you have time to build it up, and then being able to kind of like compete at a level that I believe, like 3-4 years down the road is a good potential for centralized and decentralized AI to kind of like having a playing playground.
Okay.
Now, talking about, like what's, how do you filter, how do you, check out like if it's real or not? I think, I always used to say as a founder, because I've been building companies for 12 plus years, it's just a matter of time. With time will tell. Because, hype is something that will come and go, but execution and the struggle of execution can only be proven over time. And if a company can continue to deliver on great products, great technology, great infrastructure, and continuously create more impact on people, on individuals, on enterprises, and building something that more people are adopting, then they are maybe onto something. But I think that's kind of like where I see like Web3 needs to still grow up or mature, which is not everything needs to be overhyped. Not everything needs to take off from day one and have this moonshot. Just because it doesn't take off in the first day doesn't mean you are failing, right? Often the biggest ideas that actually change the world are the ones that people didn't agree on the beginning, and then over time actually prove that that's actually the big impact.
It's almost like if your business model is in the current hype narrative, you better be concerned.
Yeah, and also like what I call like hype wave chasing. That's something that is very common in the space. Like there's a agent narrative. All of a sudden, all the companies are having agents. There's an AI narrative. All of a sudden, like all the companies have some AI somewhere in their narrative, and so over time you will see that a lot of the things will die down. And those short cycles are the ones to avoid, because they will distract you. The shiny stuff will distract you from your path. And I think for young founders, for founders that have not been around for a long time, it's really hard to say no, right? But I always used to say, like, if you have 10 questions and you say 9 times no, then you have maybe a path that you are chasing down.
Yeah, it's well said. It's and you only get so many of those pivots before your investors and your community give up on you.
Of course.
You might get 1 or 2, but if you're finding the third pivot on the third wave, it's kind of over.
But also, chasing those 3 to 6 months hypes, you can't really build something really,
by the time you get there, it's changed.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you need to hack something together, throw something together. Underneath, it's a card house that falls. So, it's not worth.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith, because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.